All right, so in this little bonus episode, we thought we'd take you on a little tour of this RV pad, parking pad area we've been working in really for about the last year or so. It's been also where we've been installing some utilities. So over the last year, we've been doing both some utility work and doing the kind of pad grading. So we just thought we'd give you a little behind the scenes look at what we've been working on. So when we first got up here, you know, you need the basics like power and water and so forth. And so the only work that had been done when we bought the property was they had drilled this well. You can see that I'm standing right next to. Looked a little different, but all it was a capped well. There was no pump in it or anything like that. So one of the early things we had to get done was dropping a pump to the bottom of the well so we can get water. But before we do that, we have to have electrical power. Otherwise, a pump down there doesn't do you any good if you don't have electricity to power it. So actually the first task we had to get done was getting electrical power in from the road that's about 500 feet south of us. So if you see in the background here, we've got this power pole and the wires going all the way back to intersect where the road is. So the first thing we had to do was clear out these trees. You can kind of see this path between the trees that the power line follows. That was one of the first things before the utility company will install the lines. They make you cut down all the trees first. So it didn't take too long, just really had to cut them down, and then they actually came and chipped them and cleaned them up for fire safety. But anyways, the utility company set the pole and brought the wires in, and then the electrician set this gray power board over here, which has the meter and an outdoor electric panel that we can tie into. So after that, we had power for the well and for the RV once we brought it up here. So with the electrical power in place, the next thing we were going to do was get that water going. So we decided to go with a continuous pressure pump system. More on that later, but initially what we had to do was get the pump, the submersible pump, down the well. It's about 375 feet. So what we had to do is we decided to use this flexible drop pipe. Most drop pipes are PVC and you do it one section at a time. We found this other system where it's a flexible pipe. It's kind of like a hose. And so we laid it out. We kind of did some clearing in this area. We laid out all 375 feet of the hose and the wire, tied it all together, screwed the pump on, and then dropped it down the hole. That took about a day. And then another day to kind of get everything hooked up. It was kind of this messy setup right here at the wellhead for a while. We just needed water just initially. So anyway, we got all that done. I remember it was pretty hot that day, so it was pretty exciting when the water actually turned on and worked, and I could spray my head to cool down. All right, so we can walk around now a little bit, and I'll show you some of the grading work we've also been doing as part of the work here in the RV pad area. Come over this way, you can see there's this nice tree behind me which has a really nice crown to the top of it. It provides good shade. So when we were thinking about where we wanted the RV to be, we really wanted it to be kind of close to the tree, not under it because it's a hazard that way, but close enough to it to take advantage of some of the shade. So we kind of played around with different orientations and different ways we could park it, and kind of ultimately landed on the way it is kind of situated right now, which you can see over here. So first what we were doing is kind of grading out really this area back behind me. We kind of started on this part of the, or I should say maybe this half of the pad behind me. It's about 60 feet wide and about 75 feet going back that way. So we kind of flattened that off with made the dirt flat. We added some crushed rocks so that it's not a mud pit. And then we got the RV parked up there, kind of in its permanent spot. And then after that, we eventually moved these shipping containers, you can see, which have all of our things and stuff. So we got that half graded, and then later we came and finished this half that we've kind of just been walking on. So after we got the RV pad graded out and the RV parked up there, the next kind of major thing we had left was getting a septic system done. So prior to having a septic system, we'd been using this tank, and this portable tank, and put the wastewater in there. I could put it in the back of the truck and take it down to the dump station. It wasn't my proudest days driving around with a 200-gallon tank full of poop, but has to be done. So anyway, things are a lot better now. We got the septic system done last summer. So it starts, in this area there's really two parts to the septic system. There's a tank kind of near where we're standing over here. You can see these green lids in the ground behind me. There's a 1,000-gallon tank down there, and it goes into, from the tank it goes into this thing called a lift station, which actually takes the effluent and kind of pumps it up over the hill kind of behind me across the road. There's not enough room in this area for a leach field, so we had to take that the wastewater generated here and pump it to a leach field on the other side of the hill. So we do that with what we call a lift station. So it made the system a little more complicated, but at the same time we can reuse the leach field over there for the house that we'll build on the other side of the road. So kind of like with a lot of the utilities, we were able to reuse it. It was you know, some of the stuff we're using when we come up here and stay in the RV, and you know, at the same time we'll be able to repurpose it for the house that we'll build too. So it's been a lot of kind of front end work just to get established and started, but at the end of the day we're also kind of getting a jump start or a head start on everything we'd have to do anyways for the house. So anyway, that's been about it. That's kind of the major utility work. We've done a few more little cleanup things grading wise. You can see kind of behind me going that direction. We've kind of done some terracing since we had to make the elevations match with the way they are naturally, and kind of make it come down to meet the pad here. So as another project that Dad helped us with, kind of getting that grading done and setting the little rock retaining walls. And then we've been doing some other things, just kind of some cleanup inside the containers and just kind of getting things wrapped up here, other than our other major project, which is the world's nicest shed, we've decided to call it. So check out the next episode where we'll take you on a tour of the shed.